Hello, Peak and Glint family. Welcome back to another episode of Peak and GlintSagas. Today's tale is a roller coaster of emotions. From unexpected confrontations to shocking revelations, so buckle up. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive straight into the drama. In our first saga, a generous gesture turns into a nightmare as a couple extends a helping hand to a friend going through a tough time. Little they know that this act of kindness would lead to chaos, heartbreak, and a shocking ultimatum. Stay tuned for the highs and lows of this tumultuous journey. Next up, a dating dilemma takes a mysterious turn. A seemingly innocent tattoo with a familiar name raises questions about the past and leaves our storyteller on a quest for answers. Is it a coincidence, or does it unveil a hidden chapter in this budding relationship? Get ready for a tale of intrigue and discovery. And finally, we navigate the complexities of a family torn apart by past traumas. A wife's attempt to mend bridges unleashes a storm, testing the bonds of love and loyalty as conflicting emotions surface. The question remains, can this marriage weather the storm and emerge stronger? If you're ready for an emotional roller coaster, hit like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Without further ado, let's unravel these sagas on Peak and Glint. Story 1.
My friend 9F got divorced a few months ago and has been in a very dark place ever since. So my husband and I decided to help her and let her move into our house. And it was the worst mistake we ever made. She not only treated me like her maid for months, but when I needed her to help me with her siblings 9, 7, 5, she never helped me because she didn't like them. Our worst fight was when one day I was feeling sick and I fell asleep and she cooked for herself and refused to feed her siblings and left the whole kitchen dirty for me to clean. I kicked her out, and then her friends called my husband and told him that she was going to do something crazy, you know what. So out of fear he told me that he would bring her home. To which I responded that if he brought her I would leave, and he told me to leave, that his mother would take good care of me until everything is resolved, although I didn't want to. I left, and I have been with my mother-in-law for the last month. He visited me every day and fulfilled his role as a father and husband despite not living together. So at first I didn't mind being away, and as for my mother-in-law, I can't complain. She is the best and has treated me like a queen. But I am about to give birth and I want to return home because I don't want to bother her either. She is an angel, but she is older. And so many children plus a baby would be too much for her, and she deserves to rest. So I talked to my husband and told him I want to come home, and all he told me was that his daughter's psychiatrist told him that wasn't the best thing to do, and he proposed that I stay in his old apartment. According to him, he is going to move there with us until everything gets better. But I don't want that. I want to be in my house, and for my children to be in their rooms. I don't want them to have to go from one place to another all the time because of their sister. I understand that she is bad and everything, but that is our house, and I just want peace after giving birth. And I don't think asking that is cruel, but my husband thinks it is cruel. And maybe he is right, because the reason she got divorced was that her husband didn't want children, and according to her psychiatrist, that's why she hates me and my children. After all, we trigger her, if that even makes sense. So he thinks that I should be more considerate, that if something happened to his daughter he would die, and things like that. That he loves all his children equally, that's why he is doing everything possible so that they are all well. But I don't think his efforts are enough when his youngest children can't even sleep in their bed. Honestly, there are days where I feel like I'm right and I get angry, but there are other days where I also think about her and everything she is going through with her new medications and her psychiatrist, and I want to wait for everything to get better, but I don't know when that will happen. I love my husband, and I know that he is doing everything possible for her to get better while taking care of our children and me, so divorce is not an option. What I want to know is, how can I get through this moment? How can I support him at this time with his daughter? And how can our marriage survive this? Just to clarify, she tried to hurt herself, you know how I just can't write it here. And my husband took her back to the house because she suddenly developed an attachment to our house. So after talking to a therapist, she was referred to a psychiatrist because she was having panic attacks and wasn't very well emotionally. And the best option was for her to stay at our house while she tries a new medication. And the truth is that I left because I wanted to have peace. And because I was also afraid that she would hurt me or my children. Honestly, she is not well. For that same reason, my husband is waiting for her medications to work, or else he is going to take more drastic measures that clearly were always the last option. We don't live in the US, and here it is not easy to institutionalize someone.
Story 2.
So, I'm to 7M dating this girl to 4F for about a month now. And the last time we got together, I noticed she has a very small tattoo on the back of her neck. I had never seen it before, because it was covered by her hair. Now here's the weirdest thing. She has my name tattooed. So obviously the first thing I thought was that she made a tat after me, which would be insane given we're only going out for a few weeks and this is still a casual relationship. But she told me that it was not about me. It was about someone else that has the same name, just a coincidence. I looked closer and noticed the tattoo seemed old and faded. So it wasn't done recently. Either way, I was intrigued, so I asked, "Is someone in your family?" And she just said, "No," and didn't provide any additional information. So it was clear she didn't want to tell me who this person is or was. But now there's suddenly this missing piece of information about her and I simply can't let this go. So I kept asking her, was it a friend? Was it an ex? Until she lost her patience and told me it's none of my business. Ada for keep pushing her to tell me who it was. Also worth saying, she has no other tattoos besides this one. So it seems even more meaningful.
Story 3.
My wife and I have known each other for 10 years and got married in 2018. We have very different lifestyles. She's a very devout Mormon and I am not religious. We found some way to make it work. It was a hard road, but there are some challenges still, but we love each other very much. She has never met my biological mother. My parents were divorced long before I met her, and I broke contact with my mom after I turned 18. My mom was extremely abusive towards me growing up. She physically abused me and my sister regularly and tried to frame it on my father. She was able to manipulate a doctor to give me multiple medications growing up and she'd steal the meds. Her dirt boyfriend also tried to be abusive to me too. I cut my losses and cut all contact with my mother and her family. So did my sister. My parents' dad and stepmom didn't approve of my wife at first because of her religion, but they get along now. When my wife asked me when she'd met my mom, I told her she never would. She's a violent and terrible woman and she has no place in my life and I didn't want her involved in ours. I also told her not to contact anyone in my mom's family. Recently, my mom showed up at my work, which she did not know of. It got ugly, and police had to be called to remove her from the property. It was such an embarrassment. When I got home, I told my wife, and she just had her "oh shit" look on her face. I asked what that was about. She confessed she reached out to my mom and told her where I worked because my mom wanted to make amends. My wife believes that everyone deserves forgiveness and doesn't believe something could be unforgive. I told her that violated the one thing I told her was out of bounds and didn't even tell me until shit hit the fan. She of course has been apologetic. I told her we'd get there, but I needed to get through it. I've been sleeping in the office at home, and we've barely spoken since. We are supposed to travel to her parents for Thanksgiving, but I'm considering staying home with the dogs so I can sort myself out. I'm not sure how to get over this.
Story 4.
My wife connected with my abusive mum that I cut contact with, and it caused a scene at work and the police to be involved. She admitted to doing it behind my back, and I'm just beyond upset. I don't know how to forgive her. Just me and this girl on the floor. Let's call her Karen. So beginning of the shift, Karen is where to be found. I'm answering lights on my own, our first round. She checks very few people. Me and the floater going room to room tackling everyone. Around 2:30, Karen says she's going to take 15. I said okay, no worries. She does not come back for 45 minutes, leaving me on the floor alone. The second round at her M. She asks how we want to do it. I told her divide and conquer. BC, that's the most efficient way. Usually our rounds are very quick and take a maximum 15 minus 20 minutes. First room I'm in, I have a full bed change with a combative resident. I finish the first bed and go to the second, who is also very combative. I put her gloves on to prevent her from scratching me. This resident is yelling and cursing while I'm changing her. Nothing new. Karen walks in and goes, "Oh honey, I'm just checking to make sure she's not hurting you." Bruja then proceeds to hold her hand while I'm changing her. WTF. I finished changing her and set everything up to leave, and she's still there, holding her hand. At this point, I was like, okay, she'll leave like a couple of seconds after I leave. Wrong. I go and change 5 residents. It's 4:30 at this point. I go to see where she's at and who she's changed. She was still holding her hand. WTF. I told her, okay, I need you to check these 2 rooms. I'm going to start the other half of the hall. She goes, what? I tell her, I haven't checked those 2 and I've changed everyone else on this hall. She gives me a look like, oh, what am I supposed to do, bitch? You've been here longer than me. You know what the fuck to do. I move to the next hall and change 2 residents, and she comes in mid-change and goes, you've checked this hall, right? I told her no, she needs to check the rest of the hall while I finish up here. She gives me a look like, huh, whatever. I'm not going to pick up your fucking slack. Ma'am, you haven't done shit tonight. Get your ass on the floor and get shit done. Or, a round that shouldn't have lasted more than 30 minutes, took an hour and 15 BC, she didn't do shit.
And there you have it, Peak and Glint fam. Another set of stories that tug at the heartstrings and keep us on the edge of our seats. If you found yourself caught up in the drama, make sure to subscribe, ring that notification bell, and join our community. Your insights and reactions are invaluable. So drop your comments below and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time. Stay tuned for more sagas, more emotions, and more unexpected twists. This is Peak and GlintSagas, signing off. See you in the next one.